I'm here at Ras al Ouja, a Bedouin village, one of the largest Bedouin villages in the West Bank. And I'm here with the um, solidarity group organized by ALLMEP, Alliance for Middle East Peace, in order to show solidarity with the Palestinians from this village who have left, who have been kicked out effectively, who basically fled for their lives. But the Jewish Zionist Israeli settler movement decided that Dafka this spot they need and they want. Dafka this spot, as if there was like nowhere else to go. So for the past, I don't know, I would say probably a year, I think, a group of settler youth, they were really, manipulated by settler leadership, set up an outpost nearby, and would spend every day harassing the Palestinians here, just harassing them for no reason. They would go into their houses and they would steal their animals. They would sometimes kill their animals. They would destroy the water sources, just randomly. And the Palestinians were powerless in this, because if a Palestinian dares to talk back, resist, fight back, they become labeled terrorists. They are labeled terrorists, and they become the problem, and they could be sent to detention. So Palestinians everywhere are fleeing for their lives. And so the people we interviewed, Mira Musalam and I, my podcast co-host, we co-host Women Ending War, the Women Ending War podcast. We spent some time here interviewing residents and interviewing volunteers. And the residents that we interviewed are now gone. They left along with most of the other families. You can read more details, the background of it, in an article that was published in The Guardian this week about Ras al Ouja. They call it ethnic cleansing. It is absolutely ethnic cleansing. It's the definition of ethnic cleansing. That's what I keep saying. The definition. This is what ethnic cleansing looks like. When the government decides a certain group of people don't deserve to be here, and we're going to use whatever tools we have, whatever violent tools we have at our disposal, which is everything, to make them leave. What was really noticeable on the ride up here, besides the amazing, beautiful landscape, was how many places were marked with a Jewish star and maps. I felt like the marking of these spots, marking of water tanks, marking of roads, marking of all kinds of structures with the Star of David, Magen David. It was like saying, this is mine, and this is mine, and this is mine. It was their way of saying, this is Jewish, this is Jewish, this is ours, this is ours, this is ours. Why does that have to be the way? Why do some people believe that this is the Jewish way? That to be Jewish means to mark our territory as Jewish, as exclusively Jewish, and anyone not Jewish has to leave. That's this big, tragic mistake of Zionism. It's a big, tragic mistake of thinking that to be Zionist means no non-Jews allowed, and that it justifies all kinds of really inhumane and immoral actions. Like, why? It could be so different. It could be so different. We could have a vision of shared society. We could say there's room for everybody. We could even say this could be a safe haven for Jews and a place where everybody here is free to live as they want to live because we're all human beings. It could have been that. It could be that. And instead we're being led by this really faulty, immoral ideology that claims to represent Judaism and claims to represent Zionism, and it doesn't. It just is in power right now. So the question is, what now? Part of me feels like it's like too little too late. All there's left to do is to be sad because Palestinians have left. On the other hand, maybe there's something to be done. So we're going to find out now.
Live from the place. We are in Ras al Ouja. It's a beautiful community in the West Bank in Ouja village. So many outposts here that has been being built for the past 2 3 years.
يوم 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 يجوا يلفوا عليك بالغنم ويروحوا يلفوا على العرب ويعاودوا يقيلوا هناك في الوادهان ويقعدوا ويصير بيدشر الغنم وبصير بيلف هو بيلف
Well, like everybody else here, I'm against the apartheid policy of the settlers.
What I would like to see happening is the occupation ending and equal rights to everyone from the river to the sea here.
I was saying that I would argue that the most contributing factor to the situation is the government policy and the weakness of the Supreme Court.
Okay, the group now is going into the homes of Palestinians. A few families who are left, not very many. We were hearing about why families left. One family with little children, their kids were practically run over by settlers, and the family was terrified, so they just picked up and left. Anyway, so the Palestinians were supposed to join the protest this morning, but this morning a whole bunch of army jeeps came and so Okay, so the protesters and the settlers who arrived and the police and the army are still over there yelling at each other. It's not going to end well. But, it doesn't have to be this way. That kind of, loud, name-calling, violent encounter does nothing. It does nothing positive to advance any of us. Nobody's listening to each other or humanizing the other or understanding or taking positive steps to make real change. So that's not something that I want to be part of. I'm interested in it as an observer. I'm interested in the language that people use to dehumanize the other. I'm interested in how language separates us. But we have to get past that. We have to understand that and observe it, and then seek out language that enables us to communicate and hear each other and empathize. I want to find the language that generates empathy. That's not what's happening here right now. I just want to say something else, that I had a really fascinating conversation here with this Palestinian man who spent 12 years in Israeli prison from the ages of 16 to 28, and when he came out became a peace activist. And his kids are all peace activists. One of his daughters was in Paris in June. His kids all believe in peace because that's how he raised them.
فيصل خطيب أني مكفر خزمة أني بوعي بابا سفيفا بكيش اللو عليم كديم تا فلسطينيين بإسرائيليين بياخد نحن غانا خاد خيبين لخيوط على طوع دماغ خاد خبيت كشني أني قم أسير يشان
كمان
كين أني شفت بتيلي كما 13 سنة بما ذكر شنو شخرت يعني بعد اللي معنا شلو اللي معنا يتقدموا لخيوط بياخد ليش الأربعة بالموت باتشليا بدولا كريم لهديل يسمى مديم شلا لفنيك مع الشيبة حدشيم تبك نسيم اللي معنا شلوم مشطفين إسرائيليين فلسطينيين بانشيم أخوت سلارت قام يتابق بسات نشيم إسرائيليين فلسطينيين عصام شني بعميم تمبقى شيء زي بيردين بوادي رام يايتا قام لفني كما خدشيم نصالة بزقات شلوم شياكيم بباريس تا نسي مكرون يا اترجلت لقاحة التالي مبقاشين مشطفين بين إسرائيليين والفلسطينيين مجيل شيبع.
And he says, he gets criticized on all sides. He gets criticized from his neighbors, Palestinian friends and neighbors who are like, what? You send your children to be part of, Israel, the enemy, and all of that. And he said, no, we're one people. He says, we're one people. We all have to figure out how to live here together. That's what he said. And of course, he gets criticized from Israel. He gets looked at as a terrorist. So he's a real reminder that, first of all, not everybody is what we're told that they are. We Israelis are taught that a Palestinian from the West Bank is going to be a terrorist. He spent 12 years in Israeli in prison. But he's not. He's a peace activist and a peace activist parent and a believer in shared society and as someone who shows up to protests like this. There are also religious Jews here. There were women with head coverings and lots of men with kippah and all of that. Again, people who defy appearances, defy expectations, who break out of the boxes that we expect them to be in. And what I'm saying is we can all do that. We do not have to be prisoners of things we were taught to be true. We don't have to be locked in to belief systems or identities that we told are ours, even if we've dedicated our lives to them, even if we believed in them for years or decades. We don't have to be locked into things that violate our humanity at a certain point, or that don't feel like they come from a place of compassion, empathy, shared humanity. We have choices. We all have choices. We have the choices to lead with our heart, to follow our heart, to believe in the shared humanity, even if it's hard, even if it means letting go of some sacred belief systems, even if it almost feels like we're letting go of our connections. It could be sometimes to follow your heart means you have to let go of certain connections if they don't respect and honor who we are as human beings. It's okay. We have to find our compassion, and we have to appoint leadership that believes in compassion. We have to advocate for compassion. We have to create policies built on compassion. If we emit compassion, we will get compassion back. If we build policies based on shared humanity, we will get in return actions that reflect and respect shared humanity. That is what I believe in more than anything right now.
Thanks for listening to Women Ending War. If you want to help create change, you should join us.
Subscribe, like, comment, or share. Tell your friends about us. Talk about it. Be part of the solution.
Thanks, and see you next time.